Hi, everybody. Today I'm going to talk to you about the schedule, at least the summer-fall portion of the schedule for the 2021-22 season for ICAST. I'm going to hide my picture here. You don't need that. We're really, really excited. We've got some different lakes or bodies of water that we haven't fished. We've actually got a couple of river systems. Um, in the summer and fall, we've got some lakes in the northwest region, the northeast region, the central region. We do not have any in the south region, but if you look towards our spring, now we haven't announced the lakes yet, but you can see that our first three tournaments in the spring will be in the south. And then we're going to go to the northeast region, the west central, the northeast, the east central, and then our state championship. And we haven't announced where that's going to be yet either. And we will make all those announcements after the first of the year as far as the spring. So let's start in with our first tournaments. And before I get into all this, let me just say that some of this, we use feedback from our membership. We did send out a survey a few months ago, and the people that answered the survey gave us some feedback. We also talked to participants and coaches and students at tournaments throughout the year. And so we put a lot of thought into these locations, but a lot of this does have some influence with what you guys have been telling us. So we're going to start off and do an experiment here. We're going to do a Wednesday tournament in the summer. So the first tournament will be June 30th. It's a Wednesday, and that'll be at Shabbona Lake, and I'll talk about Shabbona Lake. The other thing, right now, our schedule is to have it at 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. Again, kind of an experiment, but in the middle of the summer, the sun comes up so early. We'd like to get you guys out on the water earlier, but you're still going to be able to fish a good 7-hour long tournament. This is pending. We have to talk to the DNR to get approval because usually the park doesn't open until 6 a.m. So we're going to have to get approval to allow us into the park by 5 a.m. so people can start launching. But right now, that's what the plan is. When you go to register, just pay attention to what it says for the times in case that changes. So I'm going to go to a map here to show everybody where Shabbona Lake is. Shabbona Lake is actually very easy to get to from a lot of locations because it's not too far off of I-39, which runs right down the middle of the state. So it's up here. I'm going to start zooming in so you guys can see it. So it's right here, Shabbona. So this is Route 30, which is a 2-lane highway, but it's a fairly substantial highway. And you can see that 30 runs all the way out almost to the Quad Cities, not quite to the Quad Cities, a little north of there. But people from the Quad Cities can get out to Shabbona in a quick amount of time. People from South, or I should say Central Illinois, can get up to Shabbona pretty easily. And then from the suburbs and Northern Illinois, people can get to it pretty easily. So just zooming in, this is the lay of the lake. I'll go to satellite mode, and it's not a very big lake, and because of that we're going to limit this to 40 boats. And here's the dam. It's a creek that's been dammed up. There's a lot of standing timber, and there's a lot of weed beds, there's points, there's rocks, there's a lot of fish cribs and things like that. So it's a very versatile lake. There's a lot going on there. I am going to open up our website and look at the history. And if you look, one of the biggest bass caught in the 2020-21 season was caught by Ben Grunlow from Roar Central, and that was a fish just shy of 6 pounds, and that was caught in an October event. And that was a terribly windy day, very tough fishing day. We had a brutal cold front and wind, and yet a couple of big bass were caught. And being that this tournament is going to be on June 30th, the month of June on Shabbona is prime time, and there's a lot of really big bass in that lake. So this should be a good event. When this fish was caught back in October, we were using our COVID rules, so that was a 5-hour tournament. We still had several big fish caught. So we're fishing at a better time of the year, and we're fishing a 7-hour tournament. Don't forget, you can go to ifishillinois.org and you can click on lakes. So I'll just click on Shabana to show you. I probably won't do this for every lake, but I'll just show it to you. So here's Shabana. Now, Shabana does have a 99 horsepower limit. However, you can use any size motor to get on and off of the ramp. I am going to ask the DNR person to see if we could use our big motors, and again, that's pending. But right now, we have to go by the lake rules. I will tell you that this lake has been a sectional tournament lake since the inception of the IHSA fishing, and this is our home lake for Batavia, and I've fished that sectional every year. And to be honest, the top 3 teams that come out of our sectional most years don't have a 9.9. They fish this lake with trolling motor only. And I've told people it actually is a blessing in disguise not to have a 9.9 because it forces you to fish slower. And those teams tend to do better. So I've already given you a pretty good tip for this lake. But this iFish Illinois is great because it gives you some stocking information. It gives you a quick outlook on the different species of fish. And then it gives you a little bit of description here. And then it'll have some information on tournaments down here. So iFish Illinois is always a good place to go to get your information. So that's the first tournament of the year. Again, limited to 40 boats, so I would register early. And remember, that's going to be a Wednesday. And tentatively, we're set for 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. is our time. That could change to our normal 7 to 2, and we'll let you know. All right, our second tournament of the year is August 7th. That's a Saturday. And this event's going to be brought to you by the Gurney Bass Pro Shops. They're sponsoring this event. And this event's going to be at the CalSag, and we're going to be using the LSIP ramp. And we're not going to allow Lake Michigan fishing at all, so you cannot go out into the lake. So let's go back to our map and see where this is. So let me zoom out here. Now, the CalSag is a river system with a lake in it, and it's in the south suburbs. It's right here. It's really close to Indiana. But I'm going to zoom in on LSIP itself. Start zooming in. Here we go. Here's LSIP. And this is 294, and the boat ramp is right in here. It's in a little industrial park, and you basically have about 7 miles to run if you want to get up into the Lake Calumet area. This is Lake Calumet, and then you can go all the way to the mouth of Lake Michigan. So you've got all this water to fish. So this is probably, I'm just kind of guessing, this is probably close to 10 to 14 miles of water to fish. Okay. There is a lock and dam. It's the O'Brien lock and dam to get through. That doesn't cost any money, but you are at the mercy of barges coming through to get through that lock. And then once you get beyond this, there are some no wake areas through here, so just watch the signs. We are going to have a release boat for this event. And the reason for the release boat is if people are running up to Lake Calumet, for instance, and catching smallmouth bass, we at ICAST don't think it's a good idea to release those smallmouth in this part of the river when they're 7 miles away from this lock, and they would have to make their way back up here to get to this clearer water. So we're going to have a release boat that's you'll release your boat, your fish into there, and the boat will bring the fish back up, releasing some of them along the way. But mainly they're going to go through the lock and release most of the fish up into here. Okay, and let me just zoom in a little bit on Lake Calumet. This is a very industrial part of the city. If you've never fished here, it's not the prettiest view, but it's very, very unique. And this is a surprisingly good fishery. There's really good smallmouth bass. There's good largemouth bass also along this fishery. So lots of water to fish. The reason why we're using the LSIP ramp is there is another ramp over here, but we would have been limited to 30 boats. And ICAST is just simply getting too big. And so we're going We're going to use the LSIP ramp, which will allow us to have much more vehicles and much more participation. Now, if you go to the iFish Illinois, they have changed this just within the last few months. When you go to places to fish, if you click on lakes and reservoirs, you're not going to find Lake Calumet or the Calumet or CalSag. Instead, you're going to have to click on rivers. And when you click on rivers, you're going to see these dots, and you want to click on this dot up here, and that'll bring you quite a bit of information that allow you to read. Now, this is going to be for a large area, not just the area that we're going to be fishing. But there's quite a bit of information here for you to read through, and it's got some information on tournaments and whatnot as well. So a unique fishery, again, we're trying to challenge our anglers and put them on different bodies of water, and so that's our second event. Our third event is a repeat of last year on the exact same weekend. It's going to be August 28th. It's a Saturday. That'll be at Lake Springfield, and Shields is going to be bringing you this event. They're going to be sponsoring the event. Shields, if you've never been there, it's a great outdoor store. There's one right there in Springfield, and we'll be using the Lindsay Bridge ramp again. So let's zoom out of here and go over to Lake Springfield. While I'm doing this, I want to tell you that last year, our first event of the year, like I said, was there. And we had 34 boats, I believe it was. And I believe we had over 25 of those boats come in with fish. So it's a great fishery, lots and lots of fish, really good action lake. And here it is. So it's right along the border of Springfield and some other communities. Lindsay Bridge is right here. This is where the ramp would be, which splits the lake. Depending on what kind of a boat you have, you can get down into some of these lower stretches down in here if you've got a shallow running boat. But there's a lot of fishable water. There are a lot of docks on this lake. One thing to be cautious of, if people have it posted, no fishing, then that's what it means. You cannot fish that dock. You cannot make casts towards that dock, even if it says no fishing. You'll have to move on, just leave that property alone and go on to the next dock. If it's not posted, then go ahead and fish the dock. But if somebody does come out and ask you to not fish their dock, then be respectful and just say okay and move on to the next dock. They have special rules there on Springfield about that. So this is the lake. Again, fantastic lake. Lots of fish are going to be caught on this body of water. All right. The next event is going to be sponsored by Hook'em and Rip'em. It's a jig company right here in Illinois. And this event is going to be on the Mississippi River. And it's going to be in Pool 13, which is the Savannah ramp. So this is our second river. The Pool 13 is kind of regarded as one of the better bass pools on the Mississippi River. There's a couple of other really good ones as well, but this is one of the top 2 or 3 pools of the entire Mississippi River. Let me go back to our map and zoom out to find Pool 13. Okay, so Pool 13 is actually in Savannah, which is going to be north of the Quad Cities. So here's Davenport and Moline and whatnot. So up here is Savannah. It's not quite as far north as Galena. So you can see the widening of the river right here. So there's a lot of backwater, a lot of areas to fish. And yeah, right here is Savannah, and the boat ramp is right in this region, right in here. So you do have to be careful as far as fishing. You do have to be also conscientious that if you cross, that you're not going to be allowed to fish the Iowa waters. This is going to be Illinois waters only. And so you want to be conscientious of that when you get there. So Pool 13, you can fish the entire pool. You cannot lock out of Pool 13 though. But pool 13 is plenty big. You've got all this water up in here, all this water down here, and it goes on further than that. So pool 13, another good pool. Again, I believe if you go to iFish Illinois, you will have to go to Rivers, and you'll click right up in here. And there's some guides for the upper and middle Mississippi River. You can see has all the pools numbered, so pool 13 is up here. So this is going to be some general information that you can use. And then obviously you can do some researching on your own. But here's a specific map, pool 13, you click on map, and it's going to bring up some satellite information and whatnot. Okay, next tournament. This one is brought to you by Wicked Weights, which is a tungsten company. They do all kinds of different weights, punch weights, bullet weights, skipping weights. They also have some jigs and some other items. And this event's going to be at Lake Jacksonville. And this is the same tournament, same weekend that we ran a tournament last fall. So this will be on Saturday, the 25th at Lake Jacksonville. Go back to my map. This is our second tournament that'll be in the central part of the state. This is usually regarded by most people as one of the top 5 lakes in the state. Now, it's not a real big lake. So here's Springfield and here's Jacksonville. So it's about 20 miles, 30 miles west of Springfield. This lake is owned by the town. And you can see lots of fingers, lots of coves, lots of backwater. Excuse me. This lake, because of the size, we're going to limit this to 40 boats as well. And again, you can look at our results from last year. Where are we at? Here's our history. And the largest fish caught during the 2020-21 season was from this lake, Lake Jacksonville, on October 4th. So really big fish in here. There's always, almost every tournament, I hear about 5 and 6 pounders being caught out of this lake. My team actually a few years ago went down there and fished in the spring, and we caught 5 or 6 pounders, and we actually had an 8 pounder on that trip as well. So really, really a good lake. All right, next. The last event for the fall. Incidentally, last year we had 4 fall summer events. This year we're going to have 6. So we've got far more events. This is going to be at the Fox Channel Lakes at the Muskie Tails boat ramp. If you fished our event in May 15th, this is a different boat ramp, different part of the system, and this is brought to you by Muskie Tails. They are sponsoring this event. That'll be Saturday, October 2nd. All right, so let's go back to our map, and I'll zoom out. So Fox Channel Lakes is right up on the Wisconsin-Illinois border. So it's way up north, and I'll show you exactly where the boat ramp is. Now, this is the Channel Lakes, so there's a lot of water. There's 6 or 7 main lakes. There's some smaller lakes, but the Muskie Tails is right up here. You go underneath the 173 bridge, and you're technically in Lake Catherine at that point. And then this is Lake Channel Lake. So let's zoom in. I'm sorry, Channel Lake. And so it's right there. That's where the boat ramp is going to be. But from there, you can take off and go to any part of the Channel Lakes to fish. And so it's a very versatile fishery. There's a lot of shallow water. There's offshore structure. So you got lots of different options to fish there. And in the fall, this can be an extremely good lake. Actually underutilized fall lake. A lot of people don't think about coming here to fish for bass in the fall. So it's again a good lake. And once more, you can go to iFish Illinois and you would want to go to lakes and reservoirs and just find Fox Chain of Lakes. There it is. And this will be general information again, but it's always a good starting place. So it's going to give you some history, some good information, some description and whatnot. And there are lots and lots of tournaments held there throughout the summertime, but not so many in the fall, as you can see. Okay, so that's going to wrap up our tournament series for the summer fall. Don't forget that these events will count towards your all-state points. So we start the all-state tournament series after our state championship, which this year is on June 13th. So any tournaments you fished after June 13th will start counting for your all-state points. And again, seniors that graduated from high school in 2021, you will not be allowed to fish any of these events, even the summer events, because your season would be over. But anybody that's going into their senior year would be able to fish these events. All right, guys, that's our schedule. Hope you guys enjoy it, and we'll see you later.